It is Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday night, and it is a wonderful, beautiful Friday evening. I hope that you're enjoying your evening wherever you are. From the great state of Texas, I want to bid you a very, very, very wonderful and happy Friday night. I want to thank you for supporting the channel, for giving your time and dedicating your time with spending it with all of us in our community. First and foremost, I got to thank all of our channel contributors, all of our channel supporters, everybody that emails me, everybody that shows me love, that checks up on me. I got to give you a few huge shout outs to Tony Morrison, Organic Black, as well as Kiera 101. Thank you so much for everything that y'all have done, in particular for the channel. I also want to thank all of our moderators that are actively active right now. Kina, which I believe actively moderates Organic Black. I saw her in the building as well right now. We will have a couple more moderators added here in a bit to take some of the weight off of the moderators who, as one of the users said, might actually feel like they're starting to work when they're in the live stream panel. So we have a great show planned for you today, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm really excited to be here. This is going to be a topic that really needs to be discussed, and I'm going to preface this entire message with the message, as I always do. By the way, if you ever see me look to my left right here, I'm actually watching a baseball game while I talk to y'all today. That's right, I've got my studio set up. I am going off, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not holding back. I got my phone streaming the game. I'm talking to you guys. It's Friday night. No holds, no bars back. We all got paid. Life is good, ladies and gentlemen. And those who seek to hate and leave the thumbs down. I came into the live stream, the panel, and I came into the stream, and there's already 4 thumbs down. What are you going to do? You know, you can't win sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. You can't win. Good to see y'all all back in the building. Yes, Kanye on the cover. Yeah, I got some hate for having Kanye on the cover. People say, well, Kanye's and I think one of the comments said exorbitantly rich and unorthodoxly rich, right? But I guess for some reason, apparently Kanye doesn't apply or shouldn't fit to my cover or my narrative. And so I'll go ahead and explain why I decided to use Kanye. I decided to use Kanye because I can use Kanye. This is my channel, so I can do whatever I want. But aside from that, it's pretty abundantly clear to me that if you don't think Kanye is an ideal mental health candidate, then I'm not sure where you've been for the past decade or so. But I'm going to go ahead and play this video just in case you don't understand why I used Kanye. And then I'll explain to you why I'm playing this video. Then we're going to get into our news articles. And then after our news articles, we're going to get into the topic of discussion. This is going to be a great discussion. And this is going to be a discussion where I feel like a lot of guys can actually really start to understand. And maybe we can start to build back the bridges that they feel like I might have just burned, right? Maybe we can start to understand each other a bit more on today's live stream. That's my goal. Maybe not. I don't know. But I think this is going to be one where they can finally start to say, you know what, Truth, I'm glad that you understand us a little bit, right? I think this might be the one. So why did I use Kanye? Let's go ahead and get this out of the way first and foremost, as we have 89 people already watching right now. I decided to use Kanye because if most of you don't already know, which you already do know this, Kanye recently tried to run for president, in which he had a emotional breakdown. And we're talking about mental health today, and Kanye is black, whether or not you choose to accept that. That's why I decided to use Kanye. So we're going to roll the film and continue on. Now, we're going to rewind this. Before he started crying, I want you to hear the reason why he started crying, okay?
West, because my dad was too busy.
My dad was too busy. Look at this guy's face back here. Hold on. Look at this dude's face right here. It's this nigga right here. I hate niggas like this right there, man. Niggas trying to, the one up, man. That's why I decided to use Kanye. So you can try and say, well, Kanye's rich, Kanye's successful, Kanye's this, Kanye's that. Well, the point of today's message is mental health. And the reason I decided to use Kanye specifically was because it gets the conversation and the topic going. And a lot of black guys, a lot of black people, a lot of us know who Kanye is. So it's partly shock advertising or click marketing, if you will, for YouTubes and for YouTubers. Okay. You're not a content creator, so you wouldn't know that. I wouldn't expect you to know that. So once again, though, of course, everybody thinks that they're experts now that they have Google and Med ER online, whatever it might be. I heard Ty the Gemini talking about that on her channel. So everybody thinks that they're experts and they know exactly what's going on when it comes to content creation. But Kanye is exorbitantly rich, yet he still yearns for the connection with his father, even though his mother did an incredible job raising him, Dr. Donda West. She literally had a doctorate. There are some pains that are inside of Kanye that no matter what his mother was able to do for him or not able to do for him, those will be there for the rest of his lives. And those are manifesting, even though he has everything that you would classify him to not be necessarily the typical idea of mental health crisis in your mind, right? That's why I used Kanye. Okay, so I know what I'm doing a little bit. All right. I just got to get my stuff off every once in a while. You know, it really irks me when people try and tell me how to run my channel. Well, create your own channel then. If you feel like it's so easy, if you feel like you have it all figured out, make your own channel. Let's go ahead and move on to our news articles. A man has been caught. I can't. You can't. You can't make this stuff up, man. We're gonna get back to Kanye here in a little bit. A man was caught tattooing a child inside of McDonald's. Lord have mercy, dude. These articles write themselves. This is the man that was caught tattooing a child inside of McDonald's. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. ABC News reports that in Lawrence, South Carolina, man was accused of tattooing a juvenile inside of a fast food restaurant. He's been arrested and is facing charges, police say. Brandon Prisha, 28 years old, of Lawrence, South Carolina, was arrested Tuesday on charges of illegally tattooing and underage tattooing. They have charges for everything now. Lord have mercy. Lawrence Police Chief Christy Lattimore said, the chief said the judge has set a bond at $25,000. All he needs is $2,500. If any of y'all want to help our brother out. They said during the ensuing investigation, the authorities determined Prisha was an unlicensed tattoo artist and that the individual receiving the tattoo was a juvenile. She did not provide the juvenile's age or elaborate. The police chief said that the video showed tattooing appearing to be performing in the dining room area of McDonald's. Lattimore said she did not know if Prisha had done any work before, but he looked pretty comfortable. Oh, so shout out to our brother. Free him. Free that man. He wasn't trying to do anything wrong, man. Just trying to give out tattoos to the youths, man. You got to give back to the community, right? Facebook is under severe wrath once again, ladies and gentlemen. This actually happened a couple of days ago. I heard about this, but I didn't do a follow-up story on it. We're going to take it a little bit lighthearted on our news articles today. We always talk about death, so we're going to talk about some funnier stuff today, right? Facebook is under severe scrutiny. Apparently, their AI labeled black males as primates. So this is the video here. This website. Yo, I cannot stand when these people have so many freaking articles, so many advertisements on their website that you can't even like look at anything. This is crazy, yo. This is crazy. Blackenterprise.com. Get it together, Black Enterprise. What the hell's going on? Anyways, if you scroll into this video here, if I can scroll into the video, I can't, of course, because if I try and scroll in, it goes directly to an advertisement at the top of the page. But if you see here, there's it says the white man calls the cops on a black man at Marina. So this is a video on Facebook, and in the red highlighter circle right here, it says keep seeing videos about primates. So somehow some in the Facebook AI pinged this video as a video with primates, right? The Facebook Spokesperson apologized for the software error, and they said, quote, "This is clearly an unacceptable error," the spokesperson said in a statement to the New York Times. As we have said, while we made improvements to our AI, we know it's not perfect, and we have more progress to make. Jesus Christ. We apologize to anyone who may have seen these offensive recommendations. The social networking site, the article goes on to say, has since disabled the entire topic recommendation feature after they were made aware of the software error. The snafu comes 6 years after Google faced backlash for an image recognition software error that classified photos of black people as gorillas. Google issued an apology at the time and removed the labels of gorilla, chimp, chimpanzee, and monkey appearing in any association with photos of black people. Jesus Christ. You can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. Cancel Facebook. I know, right? We're going to get to some PPP loan news fraud. Actually, you know what? Before we get to the PPP loan news fraud, we have one more article that comes to us from McDonald's. McDonald's is hot off the press today. This actually isn't a news article per se, but it's very entertaining. There's a guy on TikTok that sounds just like Donald Trump, and he went viral for his TikTok video impersonating Donald Trump. This is incredible, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you talk about impersonations. This is so spot on. I was blown away when I saw this. Shout out to Always Marco for bringing this up to my attention. But listen to this impersonation of Donald Trump at McDonald's.
McDonald's. Who loves McDonald's? Everybody loves McDonald's. They got the playhouse where all the kids go to play. It's very stinky, very unsanitary. Those kids, they go in, they come out with horrible diseases, horrible, very horrible. Some come out with all sorts of things, even COVID, a lot of COVID. I saw a kid go inside the playhouse and he came out with influenza A and B. He had both types. It was very unfortunate. There's always that kid inside the tube and he's staring at all the other children and he's eyeing them down. He's eyeing them down. If you're a father or mother and you care about the safety and the sanitary nature of your child, Don't ever let him go in these tubes. These tubes are nasty tubes.
Now, this is his actual voice, ladies and gentlemen. His TikTok handle is the Nep, THEKNEP. Everybody said, "Where's your actual voice?" So I want to play that for you really quickly, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to our last news article before we get into the topic of discussion. His actual voice.
Check this out. This decent amount. So here it is. You know, it's that's my voice.
But I do want to say, I love everybody, and I want to thank you for looking at my McDonald's video. I went and I got the coolest.
I had to stop playing it because I forgot this is going to get copyrighted. So I'm pretty sure I just got a copyright strike there. But yeah, that's Donald Trump coming to us from McDonald's. Last but not least, news article of the day: rapper and Love and Hip Hop Atlanta star Mo Fain has been sentenced to 17 years, ladies and gentlemen, 17 years in prison for misuse of PPP loans. Right there. PPP loans. He's the second suspect linked to. I'm sorry, forgive me. He appeared on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The 38-year-old Fain, who lives in Decatur, Georgia, was arrested May 20th on charges of making false statements on his application for a loan from the Paycheck Protection Program. Right. Jesus, right here. It says, which he intended to stabilize the economy during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's what the PPP loan was for. It goes on to say a few more things before we end this off here. It says that he applied for $3.7 million through the United Company Bank for his corporation, Flame Trucking. The money was supposed to be used to pay his employees, mortgages, and other costs related to his business. Instead, Fain spent it all on personal expenses: $85,000 in jewelry, $40,000 in past due child support, Jesus, $136,000 for the lease of a Rolls Royce, $65,000 in cash, $50,000 for money he owed in another legal case, and $907,000 to start a new business. Hey, at least he started a new business. I got to give that brother credit for trying to do the right thing. 17 years is a long time, ladies and gentlemen. However, so we want to go ahead and say free that man. Free him. He did not do anything wrong. He did not do anything wrong. Mental health. Before we dive into it today, a personal story. Mental health. Why am I talking about this today? Why am I talking about this? Well, I'll let you know why. It goes without saying that for the most part, the experiences that blacks have within their communities differ quite drastically from the experiences of all of the races of people in America. So today I want to talk about mental health. Once again, make sure you shop with our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, and donate to the channel if you agree and support this message. I think that this is going to be the pedestal that most black men who don't agree with what I had to say on this channel can start to finally agree with, right? It's time we start talking about mental health. Now, I'm not a mental health clinician, studier, collegiately degreed, graduated person, right? I'm just a guy who thinks that I'm somewhat smart, right? So take this with a grain of salt. I remember waking up one night. I was drenched in sweat. I cut my car on, and it was 3:19 in the morning. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was a Saturday, so I didn't have a job to go to for that day. My temp service didn't have work on the weekends. I did have a check. I hadn't cashed this check yet. I got it the day beforehand, and it was so hot in my car that I decided I was going to go ahead and go to the 24/7 check cashing place, cash my check just so I could get some cool air, just so I could, get out of that situation for the time being. And I was going to buy a hotel room as soon as 11 o'clock hit. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you buy a room before 11 a.m., then you have to check out before 11 a.m. It doesn't count as a full day or full room rental, right? So if you buy after 11 a.m., then you get to spend the entire day and night in the hotel, and you check out the following morning, right? So I drove over to the check cashing store. I cashed my check at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I went to spend the rest of my early morning inside of McDonald's. Now, I have a special place in my heart for McDonald's and Taco Bell. Those corporations did a lot for me. Back to that night. On this particular night, the lobby was actually closed to renovations. Now, I used to spend all night in Taco Bell on my laptop, trying to make beats, trying to do music, trying to make money doing affiliate marketing and a whole bunch of other stuff online, just trying to make a few extra dollars. So I used to sit in the lobby at McDonald's all night long because it was so hot. My car didn't have AC at the time, really. And in the times it did have AC, I couldn't really run my car because people would know I was sleeping in my car. So my car was so hot that for the most part, I would just kind of, camp out at McDonald's overnight in the lobby. It was extremely cold. They had the AC going all the time. And then during the daytime, I would kind of take mini naps and keep my car on, like in a car wash or something like that, under the shade, and just take naps, right? But this particular night, the McDonald's lobby was closed due to renovation. So I was kind of screwed, right? So I had two choices. I could A, park my car, walk around the city for the next 5 hours until a restaurant opened, or B, I can put up with the heat, go back to sleep within my car. Now, Unfortunately, I ended up falling asleep. And since the McDonald's inside lobby was closed, I couldn't charge my phone. So I had my key in the ignition, right? Because I was trying to charge my phone through my car charger, even though my car charger port was terrible, right? So when I woke up, my my car battery is actually dead, right? So now I don't have electricity. My phone's about to die as well, right? So my car's dead. My phone's dead. Meaning I could not go through McDonald's drive-through and get a cup of water, right? So now I'm thirsty, I'm sweating, my phone's dead, my car's dead, right? Now, I could have knocked on the drive-through window, I suppose, and requested a glass of water, but since I had thousands of dollars of tickets and not having a license, not having insurance, warrants, and things of that nature, I figured that a black guy who looked like he was, and who was quite literally homeless, knocking on a drive-through window at 5 o'clock in the morning might not be the best idea if I'm trying to stay away from police, so I decided to abandon that idea, right? No need to go to jail for a couple of weeks for a glass of water, I thought in my mind. So I decided not to knock on the window, right? Not to knock on the window. So I got back into my car, thirsty, without the ability to eat or drink anything or surf the internet until I found someone to give my vehicle a jump, right? Since my car battery is dead. Once morning came and the indoor lobby opened back up, I got my glass of water. I waited for a car jump, and then I eventually realized that nobody really carries jumper cables anymore in their cars. Not to mention I had an old beat up car, and if you're asking for a jump and you have an old car, people think that somehow your old car is going to like damage the battery of their new car, which I've heard that it actually can happen. So a lot of people are like, oh, no, I don't have any jumper cables, which they might have legitimately had jumper cables, but I wouldn't know. They just probably were like, I'm not going to jump your piece of crap car, right? So I had to walk. I walked to the nearest AutoZone, which was about 2.5 miles away, and I bought a pair of jumper cables, the cheapest I could find, for $14, and I walked back to McDonald's where my car was at, right? Now, keep in mind, this all happened because McDonald's didn't have their lobby opened that particular night, right? So I want you to pay attention to the chain of events that I'm going through right now, right? So I finally found somebody to jump my car around noon, right? Drove back to AutoZone. I returned the cables, and then started returning and started going to the hotel. Now, when I reached the hotel, I walked to the front desk, tired, upset, dehydrated, overwhelmed, and requested one night in a single bedroom. I thought I finally made it. I said, okay, we're finally here now, right? We're finally here. Now, I didn't take into account that today was Saturday, or that day was Saturday. And so the price that I saw earlier that morning was not accurately reflected in the current price at that time. And for those of you who don't stay in hotels that often, on Saturdays and Sundays or on the weekends, the rates for hotels can rise throughout the day, depending on the fluctuation of the bookings. Most of the time, they get more bookings on the weekend. And so as a direct result, the rate rises. Well, since I didn't have my cell phone on at that time, and my mind wasn't necessarily in that train of thought, I was just trying to do the bare minimum to get to the hotel. I didn't even consider that to be an option. So when I finally got to the front desk of this hotel, she told me that it was a higher rate that I could pay at the time. It wasn't $64.99 like it usually is, right? The price went up. So at the end of the day, not only did I not have a hotel room for that night, but when my car died in that same hotel parking lot, I no longer had the jumper cables to even get myself a jump to go back to my usual spot to hang out, or my home base location. And this time compiled with the fact there was no AutoZone near me, right? At this point, I sat in my car, broken from the rigors for what many people would be a simple task, which was just booking a hotel room. For anybody else, that would have been a really easy task. For me, it was a very difficult task, right? I'm talking about mental health today. I'm constantly saying that something is wrong with black men. All the time I say this, right? Something's wrong with black men. You've heard me say this time and time and time and time and time again. And I want to explain to you why exactly I say that. And it's going to make a lot more sense today why I say this. Right? A while back, the Pink Pill asked me, what do you think is different about you? And what makes you so different in regards to how you perceive and how you conceptualize the world? Pink Pill asked me that. And even though I answered the question to the best of my efforts at the time, the more research I do on this subject, it really exposed a different layer and a new set of elements to which I didn't accurately respond to her question with, right? It's a great question. Mental health is a fascinating topic because we often overlook just how crucial the role mental cognition plays in the constitute of a day-to-day person, in the constitute of making decisions in day-to-day lives and activities. Your mental health can drastically change the outcourse or the outcome of your situations, whether they be extremely basic and linear or whether they be extremely complex and non-linear. Mental health has everything to do with it. If this is wrong to begin with, it doesn't matter what happens in your life. Just like Kanye West being the richest person on the face of the planet, or one of the richest people on the face of the planet, at the end of the day, when he lies down in his bed, the yearn for a father figure in his life is something that no amount of money in the world can take away. We're talking about mental health today. This is almost a cliche topic to talk about. Everybody's saying, "Oh, you can't diagnose somebody because you're not a professional. You're not this. You're not that." Yeah, well, we all know when something's wrong with somebody. All right, it's not. We might not be able to say the actual term for it, the correct scientific or psychological terminology, but you know when somebody's off, right? And we know a lot of black men are off. We can see this every day online. We can see this every day in society. We pulled up countless videos of things happening within hood environments, and we're going to get to some videos later on in a few minutes here that show the mental depravities inside of most of the black communities in America. We know that this happens. Right. So we don't need to be clinical psychologists to actually diagnose when something's wrong. We just know that something's wrong. We might not be able to be trained enough to handle it appropriately, or to actually show how to get out of certain triggers or certain areas that can lead to better sustainable outcomes and to better health perspectives for people. But you know when something's off. Right. So again, I'm not a professional, nor have I studied mental health in university, but I do vividly recall how drastically different my life was when I wasn't in a good mental space. You see, you could have everything that you need to achieve that goal. I had the money at the time, right? I had the money when I needed my hotel room. But if the environment in which you are operating is not conducive to your mental well-being and constitute, then it can drastically alter the path in which said goal is able to be achieved, right? Drastically. Case in point, my hotel room story. It should have been as simple as go to a website, reserve room with a debit card, check in the room, but it wasn't. Since I had no electricity, I had no phone. Since I had no phone, I had no ability to book a hotel room online. Since I had a bad battery in my car, I had to get my car jumped. Since I need to get my car jumped, this took time to walk to get the jumper cables to my car, and then returning the cables, which took precious hour during the time in which the price of the hotel room jumped unbeknownst to me because of the environment I was living in at the time. Even though I had money, even though I had funds, even though I had access to transportation needed to get to the hotel, the negativity from my environment played a larger factor in the outcome of that situation. Talking about mental health today, right? We're going to get into our tonight's videos in a second. I wanted to tell you that story that relates to the topic because without me telling that story, everything that I say won't make as much sense. So black culture. I was listening to a lot of black psychologists talk about mental health, and so much of the black culture is based off of struggle. As a matter of fact, the most popular facets of black culture is based off of the unending struggle, i.e. real hip hop, right? Real hip hop was conceptualized to tell the world of the struggle of the black male, through police brutality, through disenfranchisement, through unequal opportunity, right? Black males popularized the struggle of themselves before they popularize the solutions. Unintentionally, this feeling of inevitability of the struggle is expected in all aspects of life when I speak to most black males. This is why most black males always talk to me about the struggle. Well, truth, you don't understand. Well, truth, you can't say that child support. Well, truth, the white man. Well, truth, police officers. Well, truth, my job. Well, truth, the college degrees. Well, truth, the black women being used as white supremacists. Well, truth, black males have popularized struggle before they've popularized solutions. And so the mental health and the mental fortitude, the mental psyche of a lot of black males is conceptualized in struggle versus solutions. Okay. They celebrate the grind, right? Like, and this is a great point as well. They celebrate the grind, and there's nothing wrong with, celebrating the grind. It's good to be able to grind things out, right? But it's also very good to be able to relish in success and to say, you know what? It's great. I'm doing so much better now. I went through bad stuff, but it's good to be here. And I want to talk about the good stuff as well, right? I want to talk about the good stuff as well. For instance, I've noticed a lot of black males focus on racial trauma. Black men always talk about the impact of racial trauma from the white man, but never take the time to focus on triumphing over the trauma. That's even the right word to use, right? i.e. Black Lives Matter, an entire movement that focuses on the trauma of police brutality, or focusing on the repetitive nature of speaking on traumatic events. And if you say as a black person that you don't have any traumatic events that have happened to you by police, well, then you're going to have trauma inflicted onto you by people who have had traumatic events, or you'll be called an Uncle Tom, or you'll be called a coon. You'll have trauma and mental instability placed upon you where there might not have been any before, because we as a collective, we as black males envision trauma as a solution. some twisted narrative, right? Talking about mental health. You're a coon. You're an Uncle Tom if you don't believe in the trauma of white supremacy. Not saying it doesn't exist, right? But essentially what happens in many of my conversation with black males is that this transferal of trauma from them to me, for the simple fact that I focus more on the solutions of the trauma versus the actual trauma itself, is very evident and apparent in every single conversation that I have with them. Shout out to Self Love Heals watching right now. Shout out to you, my dear. I liken this to a gunshot victim, and pay attention here. I liken this to a gunshot victim in the ER, the trauma unit. All right. So imagine somebody gets shot. Now, the gunshot, when somebody does get shot, it is pertinent information. The doctors, the emergency physicians, the trauma surgeons need to know about the gunshot and where the gunshot took place or happened. They need to know because it's serious information. However, the care and the response of the doctors and the medical staff is more important than the gunshot wound itself. You see, a lot of black males are continually talking about the gunshot wound. And regardless of whether or not the gunshot wound is there or evident, it diminishes in value. It diminishes in importance in comparison to the response or the surgery that needs to happen or take place to remove or to rid that trauma. That's what's more important, right? So they're always talking about the gunshot wound. Now, if the gunshot wound is never appropriately cared for, then ultimately it could be it could very well be the demise of said victim. Now, also, if doctors handle the gunshot wound and the trauma appropriately, then what would have been a potentially diabolical or catastrophic event can now start shifting to a survival experience. It can start shifting to a better level or to a more enlightened level of understanding as far as the trauma goes, maybe not making the same decision to put yourself in the same predicament to get shot again, right? It's still a traumatic event, yes, but it would have been much more traumatic if you focused on or if you didn't accurately or appropriately handle the trauma from the very beginning, right? So what we always say on this channel, what's the solution? Tell me the solution, black male. If you're watching the Oakland Athletics versus the Angels, it's 4-2, top of the third inning, 2 on base, 1 out. I'm multitasking today. It's Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going in. Thank you, Organic Black. If you like this channel, then support the channel, y'all. You don't have to, but I love you if you do. All right. What's the solution? I understand the trauma happens, but what's the solution? So let's talk about some of the gunshot wounds that black males deal with. And we're going to get to some videos in a second. I know a lot of y'all don't like just looking at me the entire time. I even got a comment that said, can you please switch the camera angles around? I was like, switch the camera angles around. She said, it's awkward to watch you from this position. she was a white lady. She's interesting. I went to her channel. I was like, all right. Anyways, let's talk about some of the gunshot wounds that black males deal with. Gunshot wound number 1, the biggest, no father. All right. Now, I want to be very careful when I talk about the situation because it implies that a productive, well-rounded man can't be raised by a woman. That's not the case. There have been many men and children who have been raised solely by women that have gone to have very fruitful and productive relationships, right? However, I would be remiss not to mention stories like Kanye West, who end up doing very well for themselves, all right, very well than most of us, coming from a single-parent household, an educated mother, but still has a lot of issues to take care of. Having said that, you have to understand that the wounds that men in the black community deal with are different from every other race of men. Like my father, most males don't know nor have a relationship with their biological father. My father doesn't know his real father. He had a stepfather come into his life when he was a teenager. Right? This is the norm with black women as well. But I want to focus on black males today. And in another live stream, we'll kind of focus on the mental aspects of black women as well. But I want to talk about the males today. So maybe in a part 2, after we kind of wrap up our Tinder series and things like that, we'll talk about the mental aspects of black women as well. Right? Now, the positive men are doing a great job, but the positive men in the community can't seek to raise 72% of children who are missing fathers. The village is not strong enough. Right? It is estimated that there are about 5 million black boys who are missing father figures in their life. 5 million. Right? 5 million. My own father had a stepfather that came in to try and teach him the best version of what being a man looked like. But in most black males' minds, the role and the position that a stepfather fills is a simp role. So we spoke about black males really hating black males. And I need you to understand this. Check this out. This is fascinating, and this proves my point. We talked about black men not even liking black men, but this hatred goes even to the child. right? Black men even hate children. I've heard manosphere content creators literally say that I don't care about those kids, F those kids. And we joke about this, right? I got to move my hair because it's starting to get to me. We joke about this, right? There's a meme that says, man, F those kids, F those children. I can pull up the meme in the picture, right? F those children. Right. But I'm gonna tell you how deep the mental hatred, how deep the mental inadequacies, how deep the evilness resides in a lot of black males' lives. Now, listen to this. Black males hate black boys so much that they would rather said child not have a masculine figure of affection and instruction so that that black boy could feel the wrath of his mother's bad choices. I'm gonna say this again. We'll get some videos playing in a second, okay? Black men hate black boys so much that they would rather the black child face the mother's quote unquote bad choices, even though we've heard time and time and story of women who did nothing, or at least on the outside from what they told me, from what I could see, didn't do anything unjustly to end up leading or living a life of a single parent. We've heard time and time and time again, but they hate children. They hate the innocent so much that they would rather lead a campaign against Russell Wilson by demonizing Sierra and Russell, calling him a simp for taking care of another man, instead of actually holding the man who had that child irresponsibly accountable. Make sure you watch the live stream. Black men don't even like black men. It's the last live stream that we did. This is fascinating. A glaringly obvious sign of mental trauma that is rooted in jealousy and pain, right? Jealousy is a protective strategy fueled by more vulnerable feelings, such as worthlessness or feeling inadequate. Right. This is why they hate to see women who can live fulfilling lives without them. They hate to see this. That's why they always claim, "Oh, winter is coming. Winter is coming." They're jealous of their inadequacies. They're jealous of the fact that women have an option to live with men if they decide, or not to live with men if they don't decide. They hate it. They hate it with everything in their heart because it shows that they're inadequate. It shows the skeletons in their closet. This is another reason why they hate women who are educated. It shows their inadequacies. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they're jealous for the support that they receive from modern day socio-capitalistic America, from every other race of people who takes education more seriously. They hate it. They're jealous of it, right? So winter is coming. Misery loves company, right? And mods, if you see any crazy comments in the chat, make sure that you get rid of the crazy commenters. Organic Black, and I'm not sure, is Kier. Let me see if you're modding in the chat, Kier. I'm gonna see if you're a mod. Make sure, because every once in a while I watch the videos and I see that people are going off in the chat. I don't want any distractions or any issues while we're doing this chat. So I'm gonna make sure we have everybody that needs to be a mod. Kier, you're now a moderator. If Uppity Unicorn, if you want to be a moderator, let me know. I know that y'all are in the chat quite often. With great power comes great responsibility. Also, I have to make sure that we choose the mods appropriately. All right, should be good right there. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and keep going really quickly. I don't want to add too many mods, y'all, because things can kind of get out of control and they can spiral really quickly when you have too many mods. All right. You're not too late at all. How late am I? My assorted views. You're right on time. We're getting ready to get into some videos here in a bit, right? So back to black males. Black males not having fathers or men in their lives to teach them how to properly harness masculine energy can be a challenging hurdle to jump over in their life, right? Very challenging hurdle for them. And this is what we're seeing right now, right? This is what we're seeing right now. Oftentimes, black men tell women to choose better, right? Choose better men to have children with. But how is this possible when there have been multiple generations of fatherless men? There are no men to choose from at this point. Fatherless men are the norm, and on top of this, there isn't an actual push for non-fatherless or for men to join fatherless households. As a matter of fact, there's a push against it by black males, right? So they claim choose better men, right? But they're in such a mentally anguished position that they don't want to be a part of the group of men to be chosen, or the group of men that can actually be chosen to do better with. This is crazy. This is crazy when you really think about this, right? Now, as we said before, even if a mother has done a perfect job raising a boy, there will still be unaccounted emotional issues that need to be addressed as the boy grows up. Now, having said that, absent fathers, once again, aren't a barrier to success, i.e. Kanye West, the man in the thumbnail, the picture. However, even with Kanye's success, there's still going to be a potential and a possibility for lifelong trauma to ensue. Gunshot wound number 2. Let's get to some videos. The environment. National Council Society.org said this, and this is a fascinating article that they wrote. I'm going to play some videos of the environment that I'm speaking about right now. And then while this video is playing, we're actually going to break down what National Counseling Society said about this. Right. A lot of this environment that you're getting ready to see is an environment that you might have grown up in. I know it can be a bit difficult to revisit, but it's very important that we see this and break it down and understand why environment can play such a crucial role, as well as getting to our comment of the day here in a little bit. I want to get to our comment of the day because it explains environment in a way that I didn't think about it, conceptualize before. So thank you for the comment of the day from Delight. We'll get to that comment of the day in a little bit. All right. There won't be any audio here. If you're listening on the audio side, if you're not watching the video, there's going to be a video playing while we're talking about this. You don't necessarily have to tune in. If you'd like to, then you'll catch the video. All right. Environment. National Counseling Society said this. Right. Social factors. Social factors are issues in the immediate family or wider community that can have an impact on mental health. Right. Stigma. Experiencing stigma such as racism, sexism, homophobia, which happens all the time in the Black community, right, or other, perhaps more insidious forms of prejudice, is known to majorly increase a person's risk of mental illness. And I've talked about this in the past, but not in a long time. When we say social stigma, things like growing up using food stamp cards, right? My father speaks about this all the time. The embarrassment that he felt when his mother asked him to go to the grocery store, and upon checkout, he'd be the one in the line that pulled out a food stamp card. And he said he felt like everybody in the line just glared at him, and he would feel the embarrassment. He would stew in embarrassment, right? Almost as if he had pulled out a gun to pay for the items in line, right? So social stigma, the ability and the feeling that you get from living in such a depraved area for so long that you just feel socially you're not a part of the general norm, the general progressive, the general upbeat society in America. Discord, strife, and violence in the home or the community is a big cause of anxiety, stress, depression, and even conditions like PTSD. Abuse, physical, sexual, or emotional, can encompass anything from domestic violence to bullying within the community to catcalling. Experiencing it regularly within your environment can be very bad for you. Another one is poverty. It said poverty attacks mental health from many great angles. It can restrict access to the kind of nutrients and diets which might benefit mental health as well as physical health. It can make it harder to get good jobs or opportunities, which results in frustration, stress, or a lack of self-worth. It brings forth constant stress or worrying where the next rent or paycheck will come from. And it also forces people into unhealthy environments. Lack of social support. Well, this is the next point here. I want to talk about this for a second. I'm going to pause this video. We're going to let these men speak, and I want you to just kind of listen to how they speak and how they relate to each other. And I want you to hear if you can pick apart any types of social stresses, any types of mental issues, just in their verbiage, just in their day-to-day conversations, right? Let's pay attention to this, and then we'll kind of break down their environment, the area they live in, and hear what they have to say about where they grew up.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't really got to say too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we blocking shit.
Face card shit. You feel me?
Hey, look though, this is what you came for, right? Look, all that clothes and shit, that shit don't mean shit. Motherfuckers know who they want. You ain't going back this way. Motherfuckers know who they want. All that clothes and shit, that shit don't mean shit out here. That shit don't mean shit at all, bro.
Yes.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
welcome to the night. Okay. Welcome to Mac Block, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they call it Mac Block. I want you to pay attention to the house, right? Let's take a look at the house here. It's boarded up. There are literally boards on the windows, right? It looks like the grass is somewhat regularly trimmed, and it's not the worst neighborhood, thank God, I've seen in one of these videos, right? It's definitely not the worst neighborhood. But in an environment like this, you see those boards on the windows and things of that nature, it lends itself over to one of the points that the article talked about, which is poverty. a lot of you get upset when I speak about and when I talk about the need for education, the need to make money, the need to do this, the need to do that. But you need to understand that even though we kind of made the point that, oh, money doesn't necessarily make you high value, and money is important, but it's not the end all be all. Money in this case does lend itself over to a better mental health condition when you're talking about living in extreme poverty, when you're talking about living in a depraved environment for decades on end. And you're talking about growing up in nutritional deficits. You're talking about growing up in stressful or even physically dangerous situations or environments. Money is a solution to bring order and to manifest a different lifestyle that can bring you up out of that situation and environment. So money is extremely important. A lot of you guys, you're proud of earning the middle wage. You're proud of this and you're proud of that. And that's all fine and dandy, right? But you need to understand that when it comes to mental health, I can't talk right now. Earning the most money possible is beneficial for many areas of mental health. For instance, if you go to the grocery store right now and you want to shop all organic food, you can do it on a $40,000 budget a year. Right. And you know that if you shop all organic foods that don't have pesticides, if you shop for farmers markets, a lot of you might go to farmers markets. If you shop for non-processed foods, your grocery bill is going to be much higher. Right. Well, this article already described that if you have healthier foods, that can change your mental thought process, that can change your mental psyche. Right. But it costs money to get those better produced foods. It costs money to get the organic foods. It costs money to eat more expensive and just, better developed and more nutrient dense food. It costs, right? So money is extremely important, and that cannot be undervalued or overvalued rather enough when you're talking about mental health. Now, let's go back to an extremely depraved and extremely poor environment like the hood. Money literally is the most important and crucial aspect of getting out of that situation. Education lends itself over to more money, right? And so black women right now, a lot of black women are raised with the notion that, and their mothers tell them this, their grandmothers tell them this, and their family members tell them this, that, you might not be able to rely on a black man where we're from to get you out of this environment right now. So take care of yourself. A lot of you guys don't understand this necessarily, but women have started to already take the first step in advancing out of this mental destitution or this mental minefield that's known as Blackistan, that's known as the hood right now, right? They have a lot of women in their families that are prepping them and that actually teach them to be independent from a young age, because the fact of the matter is that black males don't necessarily have the teachings that black women have had from a youth, right? Whether they be more coddled in their failures, whether they just simply don't have men to teach them how to be men, to build communities inside of that destitute environment, to start to relinquish some of those negative outcomes that Blackistan can contribute towards one's life. They just don't have the ability to lend over to the community. And so women have been teaching the next generations of women that, no, honey, you need to be independent. You need to go get your degree. You need to go to school. You need to just completely do you and do things for yourself, because at the end of the day, you don't have a group of males that you can turn to when you really need help, when you're really in a bad position, right? Need y'all understand this, right? Need y'all understand this. This is deep right now. This is very deep. This is very deep. We're talking about mental health today, right? We'll get back to this video. Let's watch a little bit more of this video, and then I want to get back to speaking about the environment after we kind of let these gentlemen speak on how they live life.
Everybody, shout out.
Yeah, you know a little bit about Detroit.
Man, I told you, bro. You just did an interview with me yesterday. And I had a Detroit on. Where you was at? You in Chicago, 370 miles away. You feel me? This shit real out here, bro. Straight facts. Hey, I'm gonna split it. That's how I'm coming.
All right, so he's just going to the bathroom in the back right there. No regards for, I guess maybe this is the trap house. I guess he just doesn't have any regard for, whoever's house this is. I don't know what's going on. We'll listen to a bit more and then we'll get back to it, okay?
Every car that ride past, we gotta be on that bitch. You feel me? Every car that come past, we gotta be on these cars, cause people like to.
What y'all think? Somebody go drive past, start shooting or something?
That's the key. And niggas be.
Y'all got people after y'all. Y'all got people after y'all that want to get y'all.
So what? This whole Chicago a war zone. Look, you see how you ain't noticed every car that ruled past my real. This.
So they describe a war zone. This is where they live. We're going to go ahead and take this to another project. Shout out to those fine gentlemen. Let's go to our next video. Now, this next video gets even more interesting. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm bringing up this video. This is New York, right? This is New York right here. We have some more fine gentlemen. Now, this white gentleman's actually interviewing them. And they take them all the way through the hoods and the zones and things like that nature. And these men on the screen that you see right now are actually fathers. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. These men are fathers. So fatherless men bearing children. And I want you to hear what they have to say before we kind of get back to the mental war that happens. Aside from the actual physical war that you just heard explained by one of the youth, I want you to hear the mental war, and you'll start to actually see the mental incapacitations or incapacities of men that are bearing children in many parts of America. You see, one of the things is, and we need to be very careful here, not to just automatically tie a father in a child's life to being a good thing. Even the fathers that are in their children's lives a lot of the time in the Black communities don't have the skill sets that's necessary to raising a well-balanced and individual person. It's one thing to be a father in your kid's life. It's another thing to be a good father in your child's life. Most Black children, most Black people, most of us were not raised with good fathers. You might have been lucky to even have a father in your life, but a man who was mentally conscious, spiritually, emotionally, mentally developed enough to understand mental maturity, to understand love, to understand empathy, to understand passion, to understand how to actually raise a family, how to protect a family. Now we're talking about more of a unicorn type situation. This is a fact. Okay, so let's look at these men who are actually fathers right now, and I want to hear them speak. Right, this is fascinating here.
Nobody's being parents no more. Nobody's stepping up, grabbing their nuts and whooping that.
Ain't no fathers in the crib.
Thank you.
Ain't no fathers in the crib.
Are you guys fathers?
Yeah, we all fathers. And look, I don't even get to see my son like, but my son know who I am.
So listen to this, man. Listen to this. So they just get done saying, ain't no fathers in the crib, right? Ain't no fathers in the crib. So the white guy asks him, are you fathers? All three of them. Yeah, I'm a father. Yeah, I'm a father, and I'm not in the crib either. But it's different for me though, True. It's different for me because my son be knowing what I stand for, True. Okay, so it ain't the same when we talking about my son and the black kid's son, True. Right? This is something we see all the time, right? These guys come on and they have so much to say for women. And I'll get to asking them questions and be like, okay, so do you have kids? Yeah. Or if they don't have kids, okay, so did you graduate from college? No. Okay, so what do you do? Do you make $75,000 a year? No. So why are you trying to fix the problem when you're a part of the problem? Mental health. Let's get back to this really quickly, and then we'll go on. I'll explain why I'm playing this, but this is just a fascinating case study.
I am, and he's not going to make no mistake because he know who his father is. Because I walk the streets, I do positive.
I do positive.
So you're saying with the youth, there's no
guidance.
discipline. There's no discipline.
They don't even listen to their own parents.
Oh, listen to this.
Thank you. That's all it is.
Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. They gave women a lot of power.
Okay, so now we're blaming women again. This is fascinating, right? This is a fascinating case study. So they said the music is raising the youth, which is obviously the music that they started. Black men started the music that's raising the youth right now. Black men started that. But then they somehow connect the problem to black women. Once again, black men, they point out the trauma, right? But in their pointing out the trauma, they failed to understand how they actively play a role in the trauma that they're experiencing. But they love to point out the trauma, okay? They love to point out the trauma. Well, the music, the problem. Well, then they gave the women a lot of power. The women got the power. Well, the fathers aren't in the kid's life. Do y'all have children? Yeah, I have children, and I'm not in my kid's life either. So they have all the answers. All the answers except for realizing that they're a part of the problem. This is fascinating. All right. Let's listen a bit more here, and then we'll kind of and I want to rewind it for a second. Let me rewind it for a second, right? This guy just got done saying, I'm positive. Okay. Look at this caption here. He says, my sons aren't going to turn out like me, and read the caption, because he knows who his father is, because I walk the streets, whatever that means. I do positive stuff. I walk the streets. I do positive stuff. Jesus. I do positive stuff. Now, let me show you this now. I walk the streets. I do positive stuff. Let's listen to this. This is the positive stuff that he speaks about, okay? Now, he speaks on hustling, saying, oh, if you don't have anything, I'm going to hustle. I guess it's the positive stuff that he talks about. But listen how quickly things change, right?
Show our people how to hustle. See, some people just only know how to hustle drugs. They don't know how to hustle nothing else. So we teach our kids how to hustle water. We teach our kids how to hustle. Anything is a hustle, as long as you can make some legit money. That's a business. We the last.
The answer when you ain't got no opportunity.
Thank you.
Ain't nothing wrong.
Drugs is the answer when you ain't got no opportunity. Ain't nothing wrong with selling drugs, it says.
Wrong with selling drugs unless you're doing what you got to do with it. If you got to sell it, take care of your families, take care of the family. If you got to sell it to put yourself in a better position, do it. Drugs is an option for when you ain't got nothing going on in the hood. You understand?
So somebody got to get high on something.
So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the men that are predominantly roaming the hoods, that are predominantly roaming the majority impoverished black areas, that are predominantly roaming the areas where the bottom quintile of children, more than 40% of black kids, are being born into. There's a serious mental health problem here. Just a few minutes ago, this guy talked about doing positive stuff in the streets, but now a few minutes later, he's talking about if you have nothing else going on, then selling drugs is a good option, right? Now, this is insanely ludicrous. We all know this. This is ridiculous, right? But you need to understand that the manosphere preaching against simps like Russell Wilson, quote unquote, right? Preaching against stepfathers and actually good men trying to become a part of a family, trying to actually become a part and to build a family structure where there wasn't one. The good men who are trying to correct children having misguided and evil leaders such as this. The manosphere fights and supports men with ideologies and with ridiculous twisted narratives or perceptions of thought, such as the men that you're seeing in this video. The black manosphere supports this, because if you're not directly going against this type of ridiculous thought, if you're not saying, hey, we need to start building more families regardless of whether a man decides to actually get with a woman that already has children, if you're not supporting that, then you are by default supporting this twisted narrative. But they don't understand that, right? They'll still call me a simp. They'll still call men who decide to be stepfathers a simp. Meanwhile, if there's not a father in the child's life, then the next person that they're going to be listening to is Pookie and Glocktavius right here, because there's no father, right? There's a serious mental health crisis going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. Serious mental health crisis. We're going to play some more of this in 1 second. I want to... can't read comments right now, y'all, so forgive me. If you've already super chatted, forgive me as well. All right. Let's go on here. Let's go on here. I'm gonna read our comment of the day really quickly. Now, this kind of has to do with our comment of the day, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring that up. We have 2 comments of the day today. 2 comments of the day today. Our first comment of the day is from Jennifer Lala. Right, Jennifer Lala. Let's get to our comment of the day by Jennifer Lala. I want to thank you, Jennifer, for such a unique perspective on one of the videos that we did. Jennifer says the eye-opening quote of the show: you got to make money. You got to keep a narrative going. A lot of guys and black guys say this when they come to my channel. They think that I'm pandering, right? Oh, you got to, obviously, I know you have to, spit the propaganda, as the gentleman said in the last live stream we had, right? Oh, I know you have to make sure that you keep a certain image going. I know that you have to spit this narrative going because you got to make money, right? And it's no different from what these black dudes just said a second ago, whereas it's okay to sell drugs because if you got to do it in the hood, you simply got to do it. There's this thought and this notion, and Jennifer Lala says it, she's perfectly on point, that at some point or another, you have to just do whatever you got to do to survive. And that's simply not the case. But Jennifer goes on to say this: you got to do what you got to do. Is that the mindset driving our men? Before assuming the host was pandering to make money, myself, she's talking about here, the caller revealed another issue black men have towards black men: a lack of brotherhood and accountability towards each other. It's okay to harm your community as long as you're making money. He genuinely believed the host, me, was harming the community by speaking negatively about black men, but felt it was okay because the host has to make a living. By his reasoning, drug dealers and child traffickers are okay because they have to make money. Is this why our men don't hold those who hurt others accountable? And we just saw a couple seconds ago, ladies and gentlemen, black men literally, and she commented this before we even had this live stream video. We just saw a second ago, black men literally acknowledging, and it's right here in the text, that drugs is an option when you ain't got nothing going on. See, black women have figured out the plight of the black community. Black women have gotten it together. They finally realized, and what's happening, what you're seeing with black women now, with everything that they're doing, it's evolution. This is nothing but human evolution playing itself out. We're witnessing evolution right now. You're witnessing black women finally acknowledging and recognizing that black males are ultimately their biggest detriment to making it out of the hood, are ultimately the biggest detriment to making it out of Blackistan. Right? Human evolution in progress right now. So now that the women are trying to actually make the change and they're making the shift for themselves, the men are failing to evolve alongside with them. But instead, they're devolving and they're trying to bring them back down. They're regressing in their mindset, and they're trying to get the women to regress alongside with them. And the women just aren't going for that anymore. So by any means necessary right now, the men are trying to pull them right back down. Right, but women are starting to figure out and understand what's going on. They're putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And some men are waking up to this fact as well. But unfortunately, there's not enough good men that are waking up to this fact. That we don't have enough men to actively go through and go forth and mentor the 5 million children who are born, the 5 million black boys who are born who don't have fathers in the household. There's just not enough good men, because what we're facing right now is an influx of men to the tune of millions right now that are trying to make the good men like myself, the good men like the men who come onto my panel. They're trying to demonize us in the public eye by calling me a panderer, by calling me a coon, by calling me a degenerate, by calling me an Uncle Tom. We're actively trying to fight that narrative right now, right? And so fortunately, we do have the support of mostly women on this channel, right? Because women understand the concepts that I preach and talk about much more clearly and effectively than men do. This is a lot harder for men to understand what I'm talking about. You're going to have a much harder time trying to get men to understand the importance of mental health within the black community, because in their minds, there's nothing off. There's nothing wrong with the black community within themselves. Everything that's wrong with the black community has everything to do with everybody else. Right? It has everything to do with the white man, with black women, with this, with that. In their minds, they truly do feel like that they know what the best move is to get to operate within their community, to operate within said realm that they live in. Right? They truly believe that they understand, that they figured it out. And so somebody like me is a threat to the madness that they seek to climb the chaotic ladder of inside the hood. Right? Going to say something, but this is interesting. Oh yeah, make sure you join the channel if you want to get exclusive content. When you join the channel, you get to see some other videos. By the way, everybody that's a channel member right now, I'm releasing the part 2 of how I went homeless, and we're starting to get into the really interesting stories. I'll be releasing that tomorrow during the afternoon. The stories are going to get really interesting. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. So make sure you get your membership and you'll be able to see when I upload the members only videos. $3.99 starts you off for the membership, and you're able to take part in that. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be really fun. All right. We're going to watch a little bit more of this. I've been speaking for an hour and 2 minutes already, but I have a little bit more to say. I'll be opening up the panel in a little bit, but I'm going to be kind of operating a bit differently on the panels right now. A lot of people are upset because they can't speak as long as they want to on my panel. And I feel like I'm just going to have to address this, and I'll probably have to address this in the future as well. I can't have everybody speak as long as they'd like to speak on the panel, because if that was the case and if that happened, we'd be here for, millennials at this point, right? And I simply can't do that. So I have to limit people. And if you feel like you don't have as much time that you'd like to speak, we're going to end up having an after show or an after panel on another content creator's channel. And we're going to start marketing this and having conversations that we don't have the time to address or that we might start to address on this channel here. We're going to continue those conversations on another live panel where it's a much more comfortable environment. It's much more conducive to the time constraints that that exist here, and it'll be a lot better for you to kind of follow up with. And I'll be taking a part of those conversations as well on this content creators panel. So be on the lookout for that, and we're going to start to continue these conversations on other content creators panels, right? So forgive me, I understand you're upset, and I know it can kind of bother you, but yeah, not everybody has the ability to really kind of keep things moving right along, and it's a little different, right? When you come on the live panel, it's we got to be quick. It's a little tough, so I love you all. I really do. I love you all, but please don't get upset at me if I have to cut you off. I do it out of love. Now let's get back to this video here, and then we're going to go ahead and open up the panel here in a bit. And I want to hear what you have to say about the mental issues that you've witnessed either in your hood or in your communities. All right, let's get onto this video a bit more.
You ain't got nothing going on in the hood. You understand?
So somebody got to get high on something.
Tylenol is a drug.
So wait, you're for selling drugs?
I am. I'm pro-choice.
I'm
pro-choice.
Pro-drug choice.
And listen, I ain't for it, but if I gotta feed my family one day, it's like a nigga. If I gotta feed my family, and that's the last result, I'm gonna do.
So I think about it. Got you right now. Think about all the people that went to jail for drugs now, marijuana, all that.
We'll keep playing.
Like years in life, and now they're making it legal.
Yeah.
Come on, and now all of the celebrities.
The white dude said, "Yeah, that's rough."
We know who bad and doing.
So how do you police?
Cause we deal without. We know who doing bad.
You support your.
We don't kill them.
You support your community.
We might have to whoop a nigga or something, but we ain't gonna kill you. Cause we have to kill you. That means you gotta die. Cause that means you're trying to hurt the family.
Yeah, that's the only way.
What do you got there? You got some weed?
Oh, you got weed.
We was young. We was manipulated by the older ones that came before us.
Yeah.
So it's always somebody being manipulated by somebody that came before them.
Yeah.
So how do you not manipulate?
Stay away from the motherfuckers that's manipulating niggas.
Yeah.
Bottom line, if my mother told me them niggas down the block over there selling drugs, them niggas down there playing basketball, where you gonna go hang at? All right, them niggas getting a lot of money, but now I'm gonna chill with the cool kids. I know they be shooting down there, so let me make it. I'm going down here.
Yeah.
I know I ain't gonna get shot down here, but if I go down there, I'm like get robbed, shot.
Okay,
anything happen.
What's the youngest a kid has a gun right now? What's the youngest
Man,
age?
you can't even put an age on it, bro. Half of these kids about to fight right now.
6 years
You
old.
wouldn't even know, nigga. They might get carried.
That's why I was in there. And I came over here and linked up with the little niggas around here and became like a father figure to them.
So what do you seeing now with the younger generations?
Honestly, I'm seeing a lot of things that I'm not liking.
I'm gonna play one more clip really quickly, and I just want to play this to kind of show. There's this part in the video where they're outside at like a bodega area and they're kind of eating and everything like that, and I'll explain why I'm playing this in a second.
Hey, good.
You got some paper towel? You got some paper towel? Can I turn it over?
How you like it? Hold on. I'm watching people die out this neighborhood. I've been over for 10 years. Niggas is dying. That's my auntie right there. I love her. She's been out here for years. People that really tell you they really know me.
Yeah.
Of course, we got the Hotep here.
For years, people that really
That's the Hotep in the building.
know me.
Yeah. Mishmish Kala. You speak Arabic?
Some, a little bit, not too much. Oh, you had some of that chicken.
It's good. Did you get some?
That jerk chicken is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
So all the blacks are outside of the store, right? They don't have a storefront for their own.
All right.
But who do you think owns the store we're getting ready to go into? Just take a wild guess. Who do you think owns this convenience store that we're getting ready to walk into, right? Sudoop says these dudes seem genuine though. They're no Manosphere dudes. Yeah, they're not Manosphere dudes, but you need to understand. I'll answer that in a second. We'll answer that in a second. I think that's a decent point to try to make, right? We'll see though.
Hey, you wanted to show me a store, right?
Right here.
I don't live here. I can't vote. But thank you. Thank you.
Here go the store again.
He's not in there.
Here's the store.
This is my young boy. Ask him how old he is.
Oh my goodness.
This is a real businessman.
Who said Arabic? Who was first? We'll give you a cash app. Who was first? Arabs. It looks like Sherelle won. Sherelle won, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, Sherelle. You are today's live stream winner. I'll try and send you a $5 cash app here in a bit. Lord have mercy.
You know why I like him? Because he's smart, he's not dumb, and he don't take no bull. You hear me? And he support his people. Like, you feel me? And this is all respect. This is love. We all the different nationalities, but we know how to learn how to stick together. And that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? That's how you take care of generations. I used to sell turtles on Eastern Parkway, baby turtles.
All right. He used to sell turtles. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up right here. So to your comment, Sue, you said that these guys seem genuine. It's not necessarily a question of being genuine or not. It's a question of whether or not these men have the mental fortitude capacity to actually raise the next generation of progressive, collegiately educated, well-balanced human beings. And from what I've seen, they might seem like they're somewhat nice dudes, and hey, they might sell weed. They might believe that they got to do what they got to do to survive for their family and to make money for their family. I get all that, whatever it might be. But from what I've seen, in my opinion, if I had children, I probably wouldn't want them to be with the general collective of men that represented that type of image that they do. Nothing wrong with walking with a beer midday if that's what you want to do. It's not a crime necessarily, but I don't see a lot going on up there, right? I'm just not there personally, right? Just not there personally. So hey, they're not manosphere guys, but when we need to really start talking about the mental health crisis that's going on, because if you can't look at those men and speak with those men and kind of see that there's something a little off, right? And I think that's a problem, right? I think that's a problem. Y'all's comments. Yeah, no, he's getting ready to go sell turtles, right? Okay, so we're gonna open up the panel. That took me for a left right there. Baseball game's going good. This is nice. I like it. Let's open up the panel, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to hop up, explain your stories, I'd love to hear them right there. Maybe you're behind in the live stream. You join the panel. There you go. There's the link. Let me pin the link for you really quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Almost 300 people watching. I hope you're enjoying this live stream. Happy Saturday. I'm sorry, happy Friday to you. A lot of people out and about on Friday night enjoying their weekend. I want to thank you for spending part of your weekend with me right now. All my 9-to-5ers rejoicing, enjoying a nice glass of wine or maybe a strong whiskey or scotch as you enjoy this live stream here. All right? I appreciate you. It's good to have you in the building. We're just chilling, enjoying, having fun, spending time with each other. I love it. I love it, and I love you. I love it, and I love you. Tyler Gemini says she went to a Dodgers game a couple weeks ago. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Alpha Unicorn says, OMG. Linlin says, what's crazy? The crazy part, that a white interview was a black dude, they wouldn't pay him any mind. I think that's a very good point. It's a very good point. You see the enthusiasm that black men support other races of men when they're doing something for, right? There's an enthusiasm, and I've experienced this myself, to be completely honest with you. The lack of enthusiasm when it comes to time to have support from your own people, right? Maybe this is natural for all races, but I don't think it is. I think this is the biggest issue in black races, or within black men. You don't get as much support from your brothers, man. Kamisi's in the building. I want to go ahead and let Kamisi start us off. Kamisi, you can turn your
yeah, I'm gonna hold up.
You're fine. You're fine. Everybody else that's here right now, I'm gonna put us in the background because Kamisi has his webcam on. Well, I think he did. Kamisi, did you want to use your webcam or not, bro? It's either way. It's okay, man.
Oh.
Kamisi just took himself down. Tyler Gemini in the building. Kamisi took himself down. Well, we'll wait for Kamisi to come back. I wanted to hear from a brother. It's always good. Organic Black says she knows Kamisi. I haven't seen him before, so we'll see. We'll wait for you to come back, Kamisi. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and go in our order and wait for him to come back. We'll go with Jayla, then Ange, and then Ty if Kamisi doesn't return in between time. Jayla, unmute yourself. The floor is yours, and we'll try and keep it to 45 seconds or less, Jayla. For how do you feel about mental health or the mental health crisis, or what have you experienced within growing up in the mental health community or the mental crisis community of Blackistan?
First and foremost, it's really funny that you showed that video because I'm from New York City, Brooklyn in particular, and I live in that area where they shot that video. So no, I'm from East New York, Brooklyn. That's really fucking funny that you showed that. So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So,
so many of y'all from New York.
Noticed, yes. But what's funny about that video is also what I noticed with mental health. I feel like a lot of things with mental health starts with emotional health and emotional maturity and emotional intelligence. Because a lot of people do not put any importance on that, we do not know how to, as people, men in general in particular, they don't know how to deal with those feelings. So a lot of times those feelings become suppressed. And people forget that your emotions are governed by your brain, not your soul. So what ends up happening is when a certain part of your brain is not functioning correctly, it turns into a mental illness, which in turn fucks with your physical because everything is connected. And a lot of times people don't put enough importance on their emotional maturity and emotional growth and emotional intelligence, and turns into mental health.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna leave it for there right now.
Very well said. You're absolutely right about that. And, this is something I think Ty has spoken about on her channel. I was watching it the other day, and, there's not an importance that's placed on mental health, but ultimately at the end of the day, if your mind's not right, it doesn't matter what you do in life. They say health is wealth, right? So you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not healthy, then at the end of the day, all the money doesn't matter if you can't save yourself from the imminent possibility of not existing anymore, right? And mental health is the same way. We don't place enough value on it. And there's not enough conversations that really assess and address what needs to happen within a lot of Black males, particularly Black males, because they're leaders. They want to be the leaders, and they expect people to follow them. They expect for them to lead a new generation of progression. They expect for women to follow and submit to them. So they have to be mentally fortified before anybody else, before anything else. And that's not a conversation that's happening a lot. Kamisi, it's good to see you in the building, my brother. What did you have on this message or this subject here?
Yeah, we got we kind of pampering these men again. Once again, the bar is set low for Black men. Look, those Black men sound as dumb as a box of rocks. It's not going to happen. That's not going to get it. That slack mentality, that's not going to lead anything. We cannot accept that stupid mentality. We got to get tougher. Look, I don't know if we charmed by those guys. Look, that's unacceptable. That level of stupidity is unacceptable. They dumb as a box of rocks. It's not going to work. Certain things we just don't need to accept, period.
Hold on 1 second, Jayla. Go ahead, Kamisi.
Yeah, certain things we just don't need to accept. What was just said, listen, I might be coming too hard. My conversation might not be welcome. I'm just going to state it and get up out of here. That's all.
No, you're fine, Kamisi. I appreciate that, man, and I appreciate that perspective. And yeah, that's the brutal, honest truth at the end of the day. Those guys are the leaders. I know that they might be kind and they might be nice guys and everything, but Lord have mercy. It's not a good sign, guys. It's not a good sign. That's not who I would want to be the ones who are influencing my children. It's not who I'd want. Not at all.
Do you see other men doing that?
I just wanted to say this real quick. I really don't care nothing for those men, and I don't agree with anything that they said. He had asked me about mental health. I basically just stated I feel like mental health basically starts with emotional health. That was it, and that's all.
Yeah, I don't think he's attacking you, Jayla. He was simply saying that that we as an entire viewership aren't really, because I made some pretty political answers as far as what Sue asked, right? Which is, she said that they seem like they're nice guys, right? But at the end of the day, I think Kamisi has a leg to stand on here, which is that.
No, I wasn't attacking anybody. That's what I was gonna say. Even when I fell off by mistake before anybody said anything, I was gonna say that. What I just said, no. So it ain't directed at nobody. I'm just saying that the bar is set low for Black men. I mean, we kind of like coddling them, just the very thing that Cynthia G says, we coddle them. We accept this low slack mentality and it's totally unacceptable. Those dudes sound stupid. They're dumb as a box of rocks, and we need to just call it like it is and move on. You guys are finished. If that's our future, if those are the leaders, we're going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere.
Facts.
I'm done.
Absolutely, Kamisi. I appreciate that, my brother. Well said, and 1,000% agree. 1,000% agree. A lot of support in the chat for you as well, my brother. Angie, the floor is yours, Angie. What do you think about?
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
So I just wanted to say that the majority of Black men, unfortunately, they don't want to be mentally well. They don't believe in mental health. And for over half my life, I've been used by Black men. And when I try to address the issues with them and their faults, they try to gaslight me and make me think that I am the one with the issue. And they like to victim shame me and basically use me up and chew me out and go to whatever the shiniest opportunity that's out there and just basically leave me confused and make me feel that I'm inadequate, that I'm not their equal, I'm not anything. And it's a sad state of affairs to have to witness it with your own people. And these are the people that you break bread with, and you look up to them and you do all this and you basically almost sacrifice for them, and in turn they treat you like crap. They use you up, and then they just use you for whatever it is, whether if it's for sensual or whether if it's for maybe $1 or whatever the case may be. So I've had some pretty traumatic experiences with them, and it's like as soon as they have 100 pieces of silver, that's when they act like some new nigga, and they just leave you like they don't even know that you don't even exist. So yeah.
Well, I think that one second. I can't type and talk. I think that that's a great point, and I appreciate you sharing that perspective. And I think a lot of women would echo your sentiment as well with that. I appreciate you sharing that. That says a lot right there. It says a lot right there. Ty the Gemini's in the building. Ty, it's good to see you on the panel again. What do you think about the entire mental health crisis that's going on within the Black male mindset in the Black community?
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I just want to say thank you, True, for sending people to my little baby channel. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, I love this topic that we're talking about, mental health. And I wanted to ask you, as a Black male, what are some of the barriers to mental health that Black males experience, and what do you think? How can we help them overcome those barriers so they can get that access to mental health? What do you think?
A barrier to mental health. I think the biggest barrier to a lot of Black males' mental health issues is getting them to understand that something's wrong, that there's a problem to begin with. I think that's the biggest barrier. A lot of guys don't think that there's anything wrong with them. They think that the way that they operate is normal and conducive to a well-balanced state of mind in America. And that's simply not the case. And so as far as getting them to understand and getting them to see that something is wrong, I think it's a very challenging task, to be honest with you, because it's going to take humbleness, humility. It's going to take accountability. And I think the biggest problem with guys and men in particular, Black men going to see therapists and counselors, is in order for you to go see a therapist and a counselor, you have to walk in with the state of mind, accepting that you don't know everything, accepting that you have an issue, accepting that you need the expertise or the wisdom of somebody else, right? And so we Black males are very prideful, right? Very prideful, and that's going to be the number one issue when you start talking about making yourself a better person, when you start talking about realizing that you need help. That pride, man. And I see some people in the comments, Miss Blue Love, saying pride and ego. That pride is going to be very, 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 very difficult for them to overcome. The great word says, pride comes before a fall. And I'm not trying to make this too scripturalized or biblical or whatever it might be, but it's very true. And this is what with all aspects, Ty, I think it's a great question. I'll turn it back over to you in a second. You can't teach somebody what they already know. And so I think one of two things has to happen. Either you have to let them completely fall flat on their face, which is what a lot of Black women are starting to do by divesting, by getting their education, by choosing not to date Black men, by choosing not to date a certain stereotype or prototype of Black male, by choosing to let them do bad by themselves. I think eventually over time, if they fail enough in succession, then something has to give. Maybe one day they'll finally wake up and say, you know what? I'm tired of this, right? Nothing's working for myself. I'm tired of being lonely. I'm tired of being single. And then maybe you can start to have those kind of conversations. But I think the number one thing that needs to happen is a level of failure or a level of stress, anxiety that they haven't experienced yet. Right. I think that needs to happen and take place. There has to be a breaking moment. And I think one of the biggest things before I let you go, Ty, is that when you get to the military is very strategic in how they build up the best and the strongest soldiers. The United States military in particular, arguably the best military, right? They have to break you down first. They have to tear every essence and remove every layer of pride, every layer of confidence that you think that you have. And what they're going to give back to you, and this could be arguable of whether or not this is the best way to build soldiers, but hey, the proof is in the pudding, right? What they give back to you is a new level of confidence and a new way of doing things that as a soldier is going to lend itself over the best and to your advantage, to your advantage on the battlefield, right? So the first thing, though, is they have to break you down. And I think right now, Black males are in the breaking down position and they're fighting back against it as much as they can. But at a certain point, eventually the time is going to come, the time of reckoning, to where they're going to have to start realizing that, okay, you know what? I don't have this figured out and I need some help. So I think the breaking down process needs to be pushed. So go ahead, Ty.
Okay, thank you for answering that. And I see people in the chat. I was asking, I know a lot of people in the chat saying, I don't care, but I was asking Truth as a Black man, because Black men have to care if we are going to have solutions to the problem. So it does fall on Black men if that's what they want to do. I'm not saying go out into the hood and try to reform people. I'm not saying that at all. I did want to say what a lot of the research says around the resistance of therapy for Black people is that, like you said, they're not going to willingly come in there because they don't have like hit rock bottom. So a lot of rock bottom for a lot of Black people is jail, hospitals, school, courts, social welfare agencies. And that is like a Black families or Black people, when they're in those situations, they feel like they're under threat. So I think one thing that I think of is just like really encouraging our Black males to get into psychology, to become therapists, to become psychiatrists, to become these types of people. So when even if a Black person is in these situations, seeing a Black face can help. I'm not saying that's going to help for everybody, but there is that social and cultural familiarity that, can make real change in the therapy room. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Absolutely, Ty. Well said. And I agree with you. I appreciate that. Ty is in the therapy field. She's actually a licensed and a trained and a collegiately educated and a working therapist. So I appreciate having her perspective and for bringing that unique background and experience to this conversation. So thank you for that, Ty. I appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and move on here. Kiera, I see you. We're going to go to Brown Foxy and then Z Noir, and then we'll go to Kiera on the panel as well. Brown Foxy, it's good to see you in the panel and in the building once again. I appreciate you.
Hi. Hi, how are you? What's going on? Hi, everybody.
Hello. Go ahead.
Yeah. What's the question again? On like so many different things.
You're fine, Brown Foxy. We'll try and keep it a little quick, okay? We're going to try and go for 45 seconds in a response. But the question is, have you personally experienced, I guess it's two questions. Have you experienced any type of mental or severe mental deficiencies from living in Black communities or the hood, Blackistan? Or B, what is your overall thoughts of Black males' mental cognition or fortitude as it relates to the depravity that kind of goes on and takes place in the hood and or online communities here.
Well, yes, they do need some mental health. They do need help because I just don't understand. Like, it's very depressing when you in the neighborhood and you see like the boys just hanging out and hey yo, and the pants hanging down and they just there, and it's like you need to do something more. You understand? And then they complain about this, they complain about that. I'm like, in year 2021. There's no excuse. If you can go on Instagram flossing and doing all kinds of stuff on Facebook or whatever, you can get yourself together. But it's like they don't want to, and it's very depressing. Yeah. And a lot of them are very, disrespectful. They come, they don't hold the door, they don't treat ladies as they supposed to. And also, I just want to make something real quick. I used to work for registration for a hospital in Harlem. And I'm going to tell you this. I spoke on this on Cynthia G's line and everybody. I told them, this is like going back 15 years ago. Every black male that came in, and we had to ask them, hi, how you doing? Are you married, single? Majority of the black men came in, I'm single, proud to be single. Remember, they're 50 years old. You ask them, who's your emergency contact? My mother. They're 50 years old, and they're proud to be single, never married, and they have their mother down as the emergency contact. So if you're 50, how old do you think the mother's supposed to be?
Jeez.
And I did my own tally because I'm I'm an analytical person. That's how my brain works. I analyze, I kind of quick picked and everything, and I just know that the pattern. I even went to my supervisor and we did a whole tally. When the white man comes in, oh, that's my wife for 30 years. That's my wife. Or they significant other. White men always have to have somebody. The Indians, they're married. Then they have their whole kid there translating for them. Spanish, same thing. They come in, they have their girl, always have a girlfriend or their wife. But always the black man, always single. Always never married. And they be over 40 years old and have their mother's emergency contact. So I have seen this trend way before you guys came on YouTube to talk about it. Because I looked at it like, what's up with this? So that's just, but they do need it. They do need it.
Brown Foxy, I appreciate that. Put you on mute for a second. That is absolutely fascinating. That is just fascinating to me. And we talk about this all the time. They talk so badly about black women. And then when you hear stories like this, who's your emergency contact? Oh, my mom. It's I wish that a lot of mothers could see the sons that actively participate in the manosphere. I wish that more, and I know a lot of mothers aren't watching Kevin Samuels, right? It's just not their vibe. It's not their lane on YouTube. But I wish that they could see a lot of the sons that are in these chat rooms as they make such disparaging things about them. I think that would do so much. I think that would do so much, and that a lot of these guys would reach rock bottom so much quicker when they lose the support of their mother, when they lose the support of the women in the family. We both know at the end of the day that a lot of these black guys out here, the numbers reflect. I don't want to say that. I'll get in trouble for saying that. So we're going to move on really quickly. We have Z Noir. Z Noir, your microphone sounds a bit interesting, and so we'll try and keep it a little quicker for you. But Z Noir, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours. What did you think about black males' mental health issues within the black community or mental health crises? What have you experienced living in the black community? Go ahead. Hello, always magnificent. Good to see you.
Hi. Can you
Hi.
hear me right?
Yeah, your mic sounds good actually now. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had the earbuds in at first, but hi everyone.
Hey.
Anyway, okay, so I had a lot of things to say when you brought up the military boot camp. So I grew up and I was born in 1987. I'm technically a millennial, right? And I grew up in the crack era in California. Okay. My mother was an addict. My father was an addict, right? And so that ended up me being in foster care under the care of Black people who were supposed to be doing better for themselves. The father that was there, my father that raised me, he also had severe mental health issues because I think it was just the lack of accountability, like you were saying, and this whole notion where they do whatever they want, and there's no one there to bring them back in. Does that make sense? I think what's going to have to happen is the death of the generation of women, like the Generation X and the baby boomers, because they coddled these couple generations after that, you know. And now this is the result of the coddling and the result of everybody gets a trophy, the result of never having to take accountability, the result of you can't talk to my black son like that, the result of all of that just smashed into one. Yes, we did see a lot of our black leaders pass, and yes, we do also have the systemic, like the gene for the trauma having to deal with chattel slavery, right? And that shows. So the whole point is because of all these things, we in turn coddled the men and made them unaccountable. And the only thing that's going to have to be changed is like, it's going to have to be like a man-led boot camp to ring in these men and make them accountable for the future generation of black men. My foster father, he also was an addict. He would disappear whenever he wanted to. He would come and go as he felt like it. He would pay bills as he wanted to. So he wasn't doing any better than my own biological father, if that makes any sense.
It's crazy.
Go ahead.
Oh, I said crazy. Listen, I want to thank you for that. And you go ahead. I'll let you finish off. Go ahead.
But it ended up turning into the man I married. I ended up coddling him. And when it was like basically time for us to go to therapy, because, you know, we been through the same trauma. His father was an addict. His mother abandoned him. And we've been through the same trauma. And I'm like, hey, let's go to therapy together. My ex-husband abused me and then left. Jeez. But yeah, it's a not wanting to get better. And what's going to have to change is going to have to be with the man. And all the women of this generation, the millennials, and moving forward, we're just going to have to leave them be until they figure that out.
Jeez. Yeah, I think so. And it kind of goes back to what Ty was saying, right? And there needs to be a level of failure that men haven't experienced. And I talk about this all the time. When I finally hit rock bottom, I was there for a long time, granted. But when I seriously hit like the bottom of Bikini Bottom, I mean, I was just down bad. That's when it finally switched for me. And I finally said, you know what? I'm effing up. I need to get my life together, man, because I'm tired of this right now. That's what needs to happen. And that coddling, I know a lot of women, they refer to it as mammying and this and that. And I'm very careful to use that word because I don't want to insult women for trying to do essentially what women, what women feel is the right thing. You know, it can be very difficult for a woman to just let her son completely fail, right? And so it's very difficult. But my father was the one that essentially let me fail and said, you know what, son, you think you have it figured out? Go ahead. Best of luck to you. And I do wish you the best of luck. And through me failing over and over for years and years and years, eventually I finally got it. Eventually I finally understood it. Shout out to my mom. She's a gem. She's a doll, right? But women and men operate fundamentally differently. From emotions from one side, and then from logic a bit more on the other. Even though there's the yin to the yang is a wonderful combination. You need the yin and the yang. But when it comes to men and raising a man and a well-rounded man, there has to be this level of understanding that if I don't make the right choices, if I don't do the right thing, if I fail, then that's going to be on me. And without that fear, without that judgment day that you could possibly face, you're thinking that you always have a safety net behind you that can slow the development of a man, right? So I think it's a great point there, and something that we actively really do try and talk about. I try and talk about it. I just have to be very careful when I talk about it, for obvious reasons. So it's good to see Miss Know-It-All in the building. After Miss Know-It-All, we're going to go to Queen Mercy and then Lin. Kay, I see you in the background. Kay, just give me a second. We'll try and clear some space for you here in a little bit. Okay. Give me 1 second, Kay. Miss Know-It-All, what did you think about the mental health crisis, or what have you experienced in your own life as far as mental health crises go in Blackistan?
How are you? Hi, Good evening, everyone. How you doing? So, as you can hear from this accent, I am a native New Yorker. So, I understand watching that video is like very it's so familiar. And I want to say my thought on mental health and the issue in our community, and it's with both of us, it's the males and the females. But specifically, I think it's a stigma. It's the idea when people, especially Black people, we always likened mental health services or going to a therapist as something's wrong, like you're severely wrong with you, and it's a stigma that someone's going to talk about you and say that you're insane or like it to the extreme, like you need to be in an asylum or something like that. So I think it stems from that and why people don't seek it more, but our communities need it so much. But what I wanted to say about those Black males really quickly, I know those guys. I grew up with those guys. I'm related to legitimate guys like that. And what I will say is the something for nothing mentality. A lot, especially in New York City, a lot of Black males have that. I want something for nothing. I want it all, and I'm gonna give nothing. And a lot of it is, um, and I wanted to say something that was very I know that I picked up when one of the guys in the video spoke. He said about the hustle, even if it's legitimate, the hustle. If you remember, if you guys remember how he kept saying hustle, even if it's hustling water, if it's hustling this, or if it's hustling illegally drugs.
Right.
These males, they hustle their own bodies. It's a thing. It's a subculture that a lot of people don't discuss. With a lot of Black males, they prostitute their bodies. Now listen to me. Now hear me out. When I mean prostitute,
And we'll try and keep it quick, Miss Noda. We're kind of
I'm gonna finish it up. But anyway, it's a lot of gay for pay. It's a lot of they're sleeping with older women for clothes, sneakers, just for really menial things. But it's also, I think that what's gonna happen for them to change is the awakening, they're calling it now. Black women not taking care of Black men, not letting them live with them, feeding them, clothing them, taking care of them. Because let's be real, most Black males, like that young lady said, most of these men, their mothers on their emergency, and their addresses, their main address is their mother's address. So and a lot of Black women when we start to really pull back from them, they're going to feel it. And I don't know if it's going to be, they may go to the extreme of violence, or they may go to the point of where I got to get it together. But the more Black women, this awakening happens, the more we pull away, it's going to have to force them to change, because they depend on us. And that's what I'm going to say. And I want to say one thing, and I'm a little,
Miss Noda. We gotta end it there. We'll try and come back to you. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Miss Noda. That's very interesting points. And once again, I want to make sure that we're not, I want to be careful that we're not transferring. Miss Noda, I'm gonna take you down for a second. I got to add some other people. I appreciate you though, dear. I want to make sure that we're not transferring emotional trauma onto other groups of people, right? And so I want to make sure that we're not transferring emotional trauma as far as homosexuality goes into other people, because I want to be very fair and very kind to everybody, right? There's nothing wrong with being homosexual. I thoroughly believe that homosexual people are, they're people just like us, right? So I want to be very careful. Even that sounded kind of offensive, right? I want to be very careful and not just trying to mislabel them as if this is a problem, right? Well, they're gay for pay. That's fine, whatever lifestyle they want to live. But I do like what Ms. Know-It-All said, that we know in reality in the Black communities that Black males have a severe disdain for homosexual males. So much so to the point to where there have been homosexual males and trans males, and there is an epidemic, just like the killing of Black women, that happens inside of the hoods, as far as trans women and as far as homosexual males that are killed, quite literally killed or beaten up within the hoods of the Black communities that are ran by the hyper anti-homosexual, the hyper masculine Black males of that environment, right? So I just want to be careful not to transfer over any trauma to any group of people right there, right? But I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Your show sucks is back in here. Your show sucks. Join the panel, and he'll leave before I can add him. His name is literally Your Show Sucks. We're gonna go ahead and move on really quickly. I see Kay. I see Lin. Before we continue this, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure that that we mention to you what exactly is going on. One second, Queen Mercy, hold I want to make sure that we mention what's going on. So I know that you don't have a lot of time to speak on this panel. So what we're doing is Uppity Unicorn and I, and this is actually a great idea that was brought by one of the subscribers. This is a brilliant idea. Uppity Unicorn and I are going to start kind of sharing a platform per se, right? So Uppity Unicorn is a content creator. The conversations that we have here, depending on how long the conversations go and whether or not we decide to go ahead and share the topic or keep the conversation going, Uppity Unicorn is going to start having panels, which will be a lot better for and a lot more conducive to having more time to elaborate on your stances based off of the topics of discussion that we have on this panel or on a live stream on any given night. So if we're talking about, mental health tonight, Uppity Unicorn might do a panel either tonight or tomorrow night or the next couple of nights where a lot of you who wanted to speak and who didn't get to say everything you wanted to say on this panel can start to have those conversations on Uppity's panel as well. And I'll be on those panels actively participating as well, right? So I want to make sure that we kind of bring that to light so that Uppity Unicorn's email is uppity@uppity.unicorn.com. Send her an email if you would like to continue the conversation on a panel that say on a panel, right? And so that's something I look forward to, and I'll be there as well. I love watching Uppity Unicorn. Make sure that you subscribe to Uppity Unicorn. I'm gonna go ahead and drop her channel links really quickly. Shout out to the channel member that recommended this. I think it's a brilliant idea. And Uppity Unicorn is great to have combos with, and you're going to see a lot of different types of content on her channel because she is very fair and balanced. And so if you like the counter arguments from men who don't agree with what we have to say, and or you like a lot of the arguments from what we have to say, and you just want to hear both sides a lot more, Uppity Unicorn's channel is a place where you can hear both of those sides. And so go in with the open mind and go in with the intention to really learn and leave your ego at the door. And those conversations that take place here will happen on Uppity's channel as well. So here's the channel link to subscribe to. I'll put aka Uppity Unicorn. Make sure you subscribe, and we're going to keep those conversations going. All right. So reach out to her, subscribe to her, leave a comment. We're going to move on in our panel. Queen Mercy, the floor is yours. Queen Mercy, I appreciate your waiting and your patience and your support, everything that you've done for the channel. What did you think about mental health and the mental health crisis that happens in the Black community? Or if you want to, a story that you could share in particular in a timely manner that can explain the subject of tonight's message.
Okay. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly, Queen Mercy.
Okay, what I would like to say is that one of the main issues is that a lot of people in the Black community don't see the value in themselves because of what society says. You're already at the bottom, you're already in the gutter. So I think that, you know how you have an elementary school teacher who says, I believe in you, your voice matters, your opinion matters, your ideas matters, you have a purpose in this world. Unfortunately, women can't do that for Black men. It'll rub off better from other Black men who are positive or other races of people who would tell them because the validation would mean so much more. So I think at the root of it would be first they would have to believe that they matter, their voice matters, and that they have a purpose in this world.
I think that's interesting and an interesting point, Queen Mercy. I appreciate you bringing that to light. And I think that can contribute in a lot of different ways, right? And I think I was listening to, God, I think I want to say it was what was her name? Asia Gazalia. I can't spell her channel out, but she was talking to a guy, or maybe this was actually, Is It Just Me podcast. She was talking to a guy, right? And this guy eventually, he was a hood dude, right? And she was grilling him. You know how Annalicia does it, right? Kill yourself. You niggas don't do anything. You ain't worth anything. You don't have a job. Kill yourself. And so this guy was he called in. He was like, well, what do you want? What can I do? And she was like, what do you mean? What can you do? And he was like, well, what do you want? I can't do anything. What do you expect me to do? And he was literally admitting that there's nothing he can do. Almost his admission that there's no hope. He's just stuck where he's at. Right. And so Queen Mercy brought up an interesting point. I think that's a lot of guys and a lot of Black males do truly feel like there is no hope. Right. But instead of going to seek help, maybe they don't even have the idea that help is available. Instead of going to seek help, they might double down on their ignorance or continue to just accept the fact that they're on the very bottom, right? But messages like these are very important because if they can hear a message from a Black male, if they can hear a message or see a Black psychiatrist or a Black psychologist or whatever it might be, and start to actually have that seed planted inside of their heart, maybe one day it can turn into something, right? But I think that is a good point. I think a lot of, particularly in the hood, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't raised in the hood. I lived there for a couple of years, and then we moved out to a white neighborhood, right? But when I was homeless and I was living in the hood parts for a couple of years, there was a time when I woke up and it was just this feeling of gloom. Like, damn, this shit sucks, man. This shit sucks. Like, I'm trying to get some money and get the hell up away from y'all. I'm trying to get out of here, because it was so traumatically disorienting growing up in that level of poverty, man. It was wild. Even the neighborhoods, the sun doesn't even feel like it shines as bright in that part of Texas that I was living in. But 15 miles up the road, it was like, man, this is beautiful. The sun's shining, the weather feels better. It was amazing how much of an adverse effect it has on your mental fortitude and psyche. And I think Queen Mercy is very right there. A lot of guys are in such a disparaging environment for so long. They're like, damn, what the fuck do you want me to do? You know? Great point, Queen Mercy. I appreciate that. Lin, the floor is yours, Lin. I appreciate your patience. After Lin, we're going to go with K. Go ahead, Lin.
Thank you. Hope you're having a good evening.
I am. Thank you.
I think for starters, and this might be controversial, but they can start by stop smoking your brains out with weed. Like, that would be a start.
Yeah.
Because I know so many of these dudes, and I know that, it's legal now and people use it recreationally for other purposes. But like, I've always been on the mindset that anything that you're inhaling into your body that isn't oxygen, air, like, is probably not going to be good for you. I don't care what kind of research they have or haven't done. They simply have not done enough on this stuff. Like, they celebrated cigarettes for a long time and marketed to us that cigarettes were amazing.
I agree.
And everybody, pregnant women,
that could be controversial. So I could be controversial, but I feel you there. What's your next point? I want to kind of make sure that we get to the next ones quickly.
Yes. Stop supporting certain music, because all of that gets into your mental psyche. The messages that you're taking in, the music that you're blasting, and the words that you're listening to, it impacts you. Like, it sort of to what Queen Mercy is saying, that feeling of not being worthy, not being, not thinking highly of yourself. I mean, if you're singing to gangbang anthems, like, how are you going to think positively of yourself? So watch what you're consuming, watch the media you're consuming, but I don't think that they're even on that level to even recognize what that's doing to them. So there's that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Lin. And on the weed thing, guys, be very careful as well, ladies and gentlemen. They are lacing weed with a lot of different things now. It's not how it used to be 10 years ago. If you live in a free state, then by all means, partake. But my take on it is this. This is going to be really divisive between a lot of us and a lot of the audience here. Listen, too much of anything is a bad thing. You drink too much water, you could die. So as long as there's balance, I feel like, right? I have a history with pharmaceuticals as well. As long as there's balance, I think it's okay. As she said specifically, stop smoking your brains out, i.e. stop concussing yourself, and I guess taking it to the level to where every single day you pass out at 3:30 p.m. because you've already smoked 15 or 20 blunts, right? So I think that's the thing. Balance is what's needed. There's nothing wrong with getting drunk, a night out of the week, 2 nights out of the week. If you're handling your business and you're doing it responsibly, there's nothing wrong with smoking, in my opinion, if you're doing it responsibly, whatever it might be. Responsibility is in the eye of the beholder, right? In this case. But I do think that, if you're not handling your business on top of your business, then it might not be in your best interest to continually. Now, I know it has medicinal benefits. I've heard stories of people who have seizures who started using CBD, THC, and the seizures go away just like that. I've heard of all kinds of incredible stories from CBD and THC in particular, right? So I'm just saying, whatever it might be, everybody's different, and I don't want to pass judgment based off of what you might find to do in your day-to-day activities or habits or rituals. Listen, that doesn't bother me at all. I'm just saying, whatever it is, keep it balanced, right? That's all I'm saying. And so, hey, that's what I have to say there. We're gonna move on really quickly. I know somebody just unmuted themselves, but I want to get to our next panel member. I'm going to do Leonard, and then I'll go to UK. I'm going to do Leonard, then Kay. We'll have a man speak for a second. Precious Faith alone with the $5 super chat says, yes, girl, preach. I can't with pie. Well, there you go. Precious Faith. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but I understand.
Sure, I'll take myself down so you can make room.
Okay, Lyndon, I appreciate you. Well, Lyndon, there's actually nobody else up right now. Lyndon's gone. Thank you, Lyndon. I appreciate you, dear. Your show sucks is still on the panel. We might add your show sucks in a little bit. So we have some extra panel space, ladies and gentlemen. Angie will bring you back on. Thanks for your patience, Angie. Leonard, the floor is yours, Leonard. What did you think about the mental health crisis of Black males? Or have you experienced any mental health crises growing up in Blackistan?
Well, it has nothing to do with, well, I can't say it has nothing to do with growing up in Blackistan. That was the initial part of it. But had I not joined the military, I never would have found out. I'm just going to speak on myself personally. I never would have found out that going to seek and receive mental health treatment is not a bad thing. See, you get a lot of stereotypical stuff that goes on in Black America, and I don't want people to think this. I don't want people. You worried about what somebody else is going to think, and from my decades of experience, Black folks are real quick to tell somebody to mind their business while they minding everybody's business their damn self. But a lot of it is, you got the socioeconomic stuff from growing up in a ghetto or whatever. But if your family structure is straight, you'll be all right. I mean, I have a number of friends. We all grew up. We actually witnessed our neighborhood turn from a middle class 2-parent home neighborhood to a ghetto. It's someplace called Englewood in Chicago.
Yeah,
and
very familiar with that. We see a lot of videos on Englewood. Well, listen, Leonard, I want to kind of keep it under wraps, so we'll wrap it up for you. But I think your point that you wanted to make was that military exposed you to the importance of mental health, and without the facilities of the military, right, or that system, then things might have turned out a bit differently for me. And Leonard, there was somebody else. I don't know if it was you in the chat, but somebody else said that the military saved their life as well. As a matter of fact, they used to do back in the day for troubled youths. You either could go to jail or go to the military. They stopped doing that now.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's what I heard, man. Listen, Leonard, I appreciate you inputting, man. I'm gonna put you on mute for a second. We're gonna move on, but I appreciate that input there, and I think you're very right about that. I appreciate that, man. Leonard's coming, giving his personal testimony from Chicago. Your show sucks is on the air right now. This is the first time we've heard from him. He or she is stuck around. Welcome, Your Show Sucks. It's an honor to have you on.
Panhandler.
Yes.
You all you do is beg women for money, bro. That's all you do.
I know.
Everybody know the game is up, man. You a panhandler. Pussy ass motherfucker.
Okay, your show sucks left. So Your Show Sucks is gone. I didn't take him down. I was gonna let him rant for as long as he wanted to, but he's gone. So what can you say? The typical insults. Of course, it's okay for Kevin Samuels to do the opposite of what I do, but when I do it, it's a problem, right? So what can you do, right? Your show sucks. I appreciate you the first and the last time. And it's always good to have some entertainment to switch it up. So I like having them on every once in a while. I think the most entertaining one is probably still Kevin Samuels' Defense Force. Kevin Samuels' Defense Force was pretty entertaining. And so I'll say that. Now we're going to move on really quickly. Kay, thank you for your patience, Kay. The floor is yours, Kay. Go ahead.
Hi. So I just wanted to say really quickly, I won't take a long time. So my mom, she works for the Board of Education in the city where I grew up. And she was saying that they had a lot of cases where the teachers would report that some of the kids at like really young ages were showing signs of either some type of like mental illness or learning disability or something like that. And it was extremely rare for the system to be able to get the parents to agree to get them help, because they had, therapists, they had special needs classes. And for a lot of us, we look at that as embarrassing. A lot of parents don't want to admit that there's something wrong with their kids. So they'll say that the school's lying, they don't know what they're talking about. And then I think that kind of evolves into the adults that we see later on in society that was offered help when they were younger as children, but their parents didn't allow that. That's all I really wanted to say.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. That's another take right there. That's very, very, very interesting.
And sorry, one more quick thing. Frederick Douglass, he had a quote. He said, "It's easier to repair, or it's easier to build strong children than to try to repair broken men." And I think that also kind of ties into the importance of correcting behavior and focusing on and recognizing mental health in children at an earlier stage when it can be fixed. But that's the last thing I had to say.
That's deep, Kay. Great input there, Kay. I appreciate that. Great wisdom and great knowledge. $20 super chat. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Miss Know-It-All says, you misunderstood my point. I have gay friends and relatives. I'm not homophobic. I was simply saying that heterosexual males and videos engage in that activity as a hustle to support themselves. Wow. They have given up and want quick, fast, easy money. Oh, definitely. Oh, I feel you. I feel you, Miss Know-It-All. No, I just have to be politically, and I just want to make sure that people don't, get offended, because we have so many different types of, people that watch these live streams, right? And so as we continue to grow, I got to make sure that we don't get anybody else misconstruing what we're saying. That's all I'm saying. But I heard what you're saying, and I think that's very interesting. I think that's very, very interesting. As a matter of fact, we'll kind of relate it to prison, right? A lot of guys, this is crazy to me, but a lot of guys, when they go to prison, you hear about homophobic or homosexual activity that happens inside of prison. And they'll try and justify it as, not homosexual activity, but this is just how it is. I might bring a video and we'll kind of watch it here in a bit. But when they get back to the streets, they don't classify themselves as gay or homosexual. And I don't think that's fair, A, to homosexuals or gay people. But B, I think it kind of proves the point that you're saying, which is that in the right circumstance, in the right environment, the judgment kind of goes right out the window until they get right back into their typical or normal environment, in which case then they go back to severe homosexual hatred. So very interesting. But thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate that, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate all the support for the channel. We're going to go ahead and start. We'll start slowly wrapping it up. We're 2 hours in. I believe everybody has spoken on the panel right now. This is your last time to come onto the panel. If you would like to come onto the panel and kind of echo your sentiment or tell your feelings or how you feel about the mental health crisis and issue. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate you. I see your message in the private chat. Thank you, Queen Mercy, as well. I see your message in the private chat. I'm doing better reading the private chat so I can see what y'all are saying behind closed doors. But what we're going to do is we'll give, Kier, you haven't gone yet. So I'll go with you, Kier. I'll let you give your message, and then we're going to start to wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit shorter of a stream tonight, but we'll be back here in a bit, I promise. Kier, the floor is yours, my dear. Go ahead. What do you think about mental health crises in the Black community in Blackistan? Or do you have any stories in particular that you can share with us that kind of reflect what the theme of today's message is?
No, I don't have a story. Thank you though for making me a mod. Thank you. That was sweet of you.
No, you're very welcome.
Just right now, I'm just really seeing a lot of unwillingness to accept reality for what it is, and they have a very bad mental block about the way they themselves treat other people. It's very disturbing.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I see as well. There needs to be a severe recognition. I'll put you on mute for a second, Kier. I appreciate that. There needs to be a severe come to God moment. There needs to be a severe acknowledgement that there's a big problem with mental cognition and with mental cognitive function in a lot of our guys, man. There just is. And I've spoken about this before. Y'all have heard me say I feel like when I talk to Black guys, I'm talking to like a skeleton. I feel like I'm talking to an entity inside of a human form. And I'll be having these conversations in the back of my head. I'm thinking to myself, is this what we're really talking about? Whether it's trauma, whether it's an inability to actually be able to, I don't know. Whatever it is, a lot of guys I talk with, a lot of Black guys I talk with, they're just not all there, man. And obviously, we looked at these environments that a lot of them grow up in. We looked at a lot of the issues that happen inside of Black communities, and that all has something to do with it. We even spoke down and broke down the nutrition, broke down the environment, broke down how all these different types of stresses shape a person and mold a person. And that's what I experience when I talk to most Black guys on a day-to-day basis. And I know that's the case for y'all as well. When you're out and about in your day-to-day activities and you're just speaking with a typical run-of-the-mill Black guy, the conversation is just a bit different in comparison to other races of men. It just is. And I know there are cultural differences. I'm not just chalking this up to, it being a culture difference, though. It's more than a culture difference. there's something fundamentally off that there's something pings in my mind, and I say there's something off. There's something off here, and I think a lot of it has to do with what we're saying right now. A lot of it has to do with what we're saying right now. Lady Biz says all that talking. Yeah, that's one of the signs of it. They kind of just do a lot of talking, but they don't say too much. All right. Or the talking or the discourse or the dialogue isn't really meaningful a lot of the times, or it's so small-minded that ultimately it's just kind of small talk a lot of the time. Most conversations that you have with Black men, it's not going to be on ideas. It's not going to be on forming new concepts of thoughts, new businesses, or whatever it might be. And I'm not saying that has to be what makes a conversation worthwhile. I'm just saying that aside from the fact that you don't get nourishing conversations a lot of the times, progressive conversations a lot of the times, the conversations that you do, if you are able to get a conversation from a Black male, is one that's so meaningless and like worthless a lot of the time that it's kind of like, what are we doing here, right? What are we doing here? So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead and wrap this up. We're going to make sure that we keep in mind that if you do want to continue this conversation, Uppity Unicorn might be doing a live stream on it. Go to her channel, subscribe to her channel, send her an email, uppity@uppity-unicorn.com. I'm going to take all of y'all down. I hate taking people down. It's so brutal, but I really do appreciate everybody for being here. We'll be back in a couple of days. Also, make sure that you have a channel membership, because tomorrow you're going to get to see a new video that's visible to channel members only. Once again, $3.99 can get you a channel membership. And I want to say this kind of on the way out, right? A lot of Black guys that, they'll say, you only talk about the Black guys, you only talk about this, you only talk about that, and this, whatever it might be. And we might talk about women's mental health coming up in another live stream. But you have to keep in mind that the reason I talk about Black men so much is because you want to be the leader, okay? And so, just like we said at the beginning of the live stream, if inside here, if you don't have health, it doesn't matter what resources you have. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what you stand for, what kind of Tom Ford boots you have. None of that matters. If your mental psyche is not at the point to where it needs to be able to lead a woman, to be able to lead a family, to be able to lead a generation, to be able to lead a society or a community, if you aren't ready to be a leader, but you're demanding leadership, then the community will continue to fail, right? It'll continue to fail. And so the reason I speak to you in particular is because you want to be spoken to. You want to be held accountable. I'm simply fulfilling exactly what you're requesting, right? Trying to give you the reins of leadership over your community, over your quote unquote women, even though you're losing the reins actively as we speak, over your people, right? So you can claim that it's pandering, you can claim that it's this, you can claim it's whatever you want. But once again, Black males fail to understand how what they desire and what they ask for is literally it's being given to them, right? It's being given to them. But they're not ready, and they don't have the ability to accept what it takes to take reins of that horse or that bucking bronco or that bull. You want the role of leadership, but you don't want to be held accountable as a leader. You want the role of leadership, but you don't want to make yourself the best person that you can be as far as physical development, spiritual development, mental development goes. You want to be a leader, but you're not ready to actually lead yet. And you don't know that. You think that you know that. You think that you're ready to lead, but you're not ready to lead. You have a lot of work that you need to do. So that's why I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you as the leader, because as the leader, I would speak to nobody else. As a leader, these conversations would happen between you and I. As a leader, these conversations would happen between other leaders and yourself, because that's what you call yourself. You call yourself a leader, right? This is what leaders do. Leaders talk amongst themselves. Men talk amongst themselves. Men bring ideas. Men bring concepts. Men talk about the future. Men plan for the future. Men don't always talk to women. Men don't expect women to bear the generation's future success. Men don't expect women to carry the burden of leadership while also still expecting them to recognize the men as leaders. That's not how leaders operate. The leaders talk to the leaders. So if you don't want to be a leader, then I'll stop talking to you. But if you want people to follow you, then you're going to need to answer for all of your decisions. Welcome to the role of leadership. It's not easy. It's not always fun. Y'all think it's always fun. You think it's all fun and games. You don't understand that the CEO at the top of the company deals with so much stress. Not everybody can be a CEO. I played my intro by accident there. Not everybody can be a CEO, right? It's very difficult to do. It's not something that everybody can do. And because it takes so much, it's a very demanding position. It takes a lot to lead a company. You have to have morals. You have to have ethics. You have to be witty. You have to be intelligent. You have to be emotionally intelligent. You have to understand social dynamics. You have to be courageous. You have to be instilling in character. You have to be something in somebody, or you have to represent something that people look up to. You have to be driven. It takes a lot to be a leader. You're not ready to be a leader yet. You're not even ready to be an adult yet, to be completely honest with you. You're not ready to be in a relationship. You're not ready to be a leader. You're not ready to be a father. You're not ready to be a child. You're not ready to be a friend. You have a lot of work to do, black males. You have a lot of work to do. You can say it's pandering. You can say whatever you want. But if you look at the community, it represents exactly what I'm saying right now. If you were ready to be leaders as black males, then your community would not be completely and utterly destroyed right now. The numbers reflect. You're just not there. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Henry Frick with the $30 super chat. Henry Frick, I appreciate that support, man. I appreciate everything that you've done for the channel. Big contributor coming through, man. Henry Frick makes money. Big contributor coming through. Ladies and gentlemen, you can support the channel if you'd like to by donating directly. I think it's I don't know. I didn't even put the links up right there. Listen, I'll put the links up in the live chat as we continue to end this. It's in the description as well. I want to thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. We'll be back on Sunday with another dynamic message. Make sure you share this live stream amongst your peers, your peer groups, your family. On your way home, tell your friends, text these videos out, whatever it might be. We're gaining subscribers. We're growing again. We plateaued for a second, but now we're kind of slowly creeping and growing again. If you're a content subscriber, reach out to me. If you're a business owner, reach out to me, thehonesttruthyt@gmail.com. Once again, I appreciate you for joining and supporting us. We're going to roll this thing on out. I love you, and we'll be back in a couple of days. Stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a lady, make sure that you're thinking of bear spray. Make sure you're thinking about your sluts. Make sure you're thinking about a taser. I recommend bear spray before anything. But if you've got then I recommend thinking about your Second Amendment rights and protecting your life. We have one chance to dance, ladies and gentlemen. Don't take that lightly. Don't take that lightly. I love you all. I love you all. Intro should work this time. We're not running dual cameras, so it should work. Enjoy the outro song. I'm sorry. Enjoy the outro, not the intro. Enjoy the outro and the intro. I'll see you soon, all right? It looks like it actually froze right here. Let's see. That worked. You know the deal. I had to stop it. Couldn't do it. I was gonna try and let it play out, man. I couldn't do it. So 1 second. Thank you also everybody for doing the channel memberships on the way out. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. I don't know why the outro just won't work now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. It just decided to stop working. So this technology, man. What are you gonna do? It's brutal. It's brutal. We'll try one more time. We'll try one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience. I love you. Let's see. Let's see. Add to stream. It's crazy. It just won't work, man. I don't know why. Thank you, Erica, for becoming a member. I appreciate you, Erica. Thank you, Erica, for becoming a member. Enjoy the video. We'll see you tomorrow on the new video as well. We'll premiere it too. We'll premiere it as a new video, so y'all can definitely check it out. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I think something happened with StreamYards. We'll try one more time. Let's see. This won't work. Right. It hasn't worked since I danced. I don't know. I can't get it to work, man. I cannot get it to work. And I don't know why. It's crazy. Maybe I'm maxing out my computer's memory. CPU. I don't know. Maybe it's maxing out on RAM right now. I have no idea. It's brutal though. My outro. I'm trying to get my outro to work. It's the time you dance to the outro. I appreciate y'all. I don't know why. It's really choppy. Usually it's supposed to be smooth, you know. I just can't get it to work smooth. Y'all are hilarious. Sing. I'll sing on the next live stream. I promise. I'll sing on the next live stream. I promise. I promise. I promise. All right. We're gonna have to. I guess I might have to make a new intro. Maybe I need to lower the quality or something like that. Need to lower the quality. We'll see. I can add a video clip, but I don't think that's going to do what I needed to do. All right, we'll try one more time. I'm just going to have to make peace with it. Thank you, Fire. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to make peace with it. If it doesn't work, you know I'm a perfectionist, y'all. So if it doesn't work, if something doesn't work in the broadcast, it'll grind my gears. I'll be like, Jesus, man. I paid all this money and it still won't happen, right? That's life, though. It's not going to work all the time, you know. All right, 4 times a charm. If it doesn't work, I love you all. I'll be back in a couple of days. Tomorrow, we'll premiere the new video tomorrow. All right. So, cross the fingers. Not expecting much, but here we go.